This episode is brought to you by Muntins Malts, a company that is passionate about providing premium malts to brewers worldwide. For over a century, Muntins has been a leading supplier of brewing and distilling malts, offering the finest British malted barley on the market. You can experience the difference Muntins offers by joining a recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club, because every kit that ships out now includes premium Muntins malt. You know, we've known the Muntins crew for a long time, and I can tell you, friend, you're going to love brewing with their grains. Ask your local supply shop to carry Muntins malts, or homebrewers can join our Trub Club at homebrewhappyhour.com/club, be a part of the community, and come brew with us. Thank you, Muntins, for supporting our efforts and homebrewers worldwide. Today's show is brought to you by Hopsterette.com. Grown in the esteemed Yakima Valley on the Pewterball family farm, Hopsterette.com offers the widest variety of hops available online at incredibly competitive pricing. It's simple. They grow hops, they sell hops, and they ship hops straight from their family-owned farm to your doorstep. Producing the highest quality hops is Hopsterette.com's passion, and they're proud to be an independent grower in the craft beer industry. Go to Hopsterette.com right now and get what you need to make your brew day better. That's Hopsterette.com. Today's show is brought to you by Imperial Yeast. You hear us gushing over Imperial Yeast all the time, and that's because their yeast performs for us in every batch that we brew. Imperial Yeast is adored by commercial breweries and home brewers alike. Their pitch-right pouches are jam-packed with over 200 billion fresh yeast cells, guaranteed to deliver flawless, fast fermentations every time. Imperial Yeast strains are grown by a team of pro brewers and home brewers who live to help other brewers learn more and ferment better. Join any recipe receiving tier of our Trub Club and get a free upgrade to premium Imperial Yeast with every recipe kit that ships out to you. Learn more at homebrewhappyhour.com/club and come brew with us.
Entertaining shows with content that spreads information and sparks discourse throughout the community. This is the Pearl Media Network.
What to know when using true flow control faucets? Why do we sparge? Excessive foam from one tap, and switching from bottling to kegging. This is Homebrew Happy Hour, episode 435. Well, hello, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. This is the show where we supply the answers to your homebrewing questions and discuss all things related to craft beer. And if you, my friends, sitting at home watching us at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour, have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, I want you to know that if you call it in to 325-305-6107, leave us a voicemail, you'll get yourself a gift card to kegconnection.com. Of course, you could text that hotline, email joshua@homebrewhappyhour.com, which is like what 95% of y'all do, but call it in. We love hearing from you. Anyways, I'm one of your hosts, Joshua Stubing, joined as always by the Director of Operations at cmbecker.com down there, Mr. James Carlson, and the President and Chief Keg Washer of Keg Connection LLC, Mr. Todd Burns. Gentlemen, it is good to see you, even though I just saw you. I was just up there, but it is good to see you. Hope y'all are having a good day. We are recording it on the actual day of publication because it's my fault. I made a work trip up on our normal day we record Wednesday, and I didn't bring my gear. So that's my bad. But I appreciate y'all taking the time today to do it with me. I was out of town last week. If you haven't already seen it, friends, or listened to it, because most of y'all are audio-only listeners, I interviewed the winner of the 2025 Kolsch Cup, and that whole interview is published at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour. Bob was a fantastic guest, and learn more about him there, or if you listen to it wherever, leave us a review, all that stuff, comments. People, I don't know if y'all use Spotify. Todd, I think you use Spotify. Did you know?
I do.
You can rate shows in Spotify, but did you know you can comment per episode? You go into an episode and you can. Our podcast rarely gets many comments on any episode. But I've gone in the comments section of some bigger podcasts like Rogan or whatever. It gets wild in there. I thought YouTube comments was like the breeding ground for entertainment. Spotify comments is kind of giving it a run for its money. It's kind of funny. But anyways, you can.
I'll have a podcast I listen to a lot, and it always has comments almost immediately after he starts.
Which podcast is that you listen to?
It's the Presidential Daily Brief.
Oh, never.
Or the President's Daily Brief.
Huh.
It's kind of a pretty unbiased news breakdown, like anyway.
I would have bet $5 it was a Wall Street Journal thing. So I may have
it is not Wall Street Journal.
Todd, if there's two things that Todd talks about, it's how efficient his system is, and I subscribe to the Wall Street Journal. But you don't get the print one anymore, do you? You're just
just digital,
like a play.
I would like to get the print one, but it got to be too expensive.
Print media. You know what we should do after if this the whole stuff doesn't work out? We should start a newspaper. And a brewery.
We should.
A newspaper and a brewery.
I think that would be right up there with draft business. Yeah.
It was weird. I was in Todd's office yesterday, and I can't even name drop the vendor. I forgot the name, but he said something to the effect of, if we were smart men, we would not have gotten in this industry. So, Todd, if anyone ever accuses you of being smart, you're not, or something
That's
like
right.
that.
That's right.
It was, whew, whew. Anyway, I have a little bit of small talk before we get into the show. Friends, go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour. Join a recipe receiving tier. You're going to get the delicious Comanche Moon Summer Ale shipped to your doorstep here in a couple weeks at the end of the month. Thank you to our sponsors, Muntons Malt, hopsdirect.com, and of course, Imperial Yeast for providing the premium ingredients that truly make these recipe kits what they are. We could not do it without them, literally, and without the members of the Chub Club. We appreciate y'all. I do have a Brew Day Live scheduled later this month, but it's not going to be of the Comanche Moon. I got kind of obsessed on this cruise ship I was just on, and I'll give a brief recap of it. It was annoying Todd a little how much I was talking about it in the office yesterday. Asahi Super Dry became my favorite beer on the cruise ship. You could argue the bar was really low, but I forgot how much I enjoyed that style, just a crispy Japanese rice lager. So I brought home the ingredients to brew. I'm calling it the karakuchi. I think that's how they say it. Karakuchi makes me feel dirty when I say it, but it means dry in Japanese. I'm going to brew a Japanese rice lager here on June 27th at 10 a.m. Central, live at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour. Come join the fun. Todd already told me, do not bring me a keg of it. I could not care less. So I don't know what's your problem with like crispy lagers, man. Do you know who you do this show with? Like James, I'll have to bring James some. I think James, if it turns out good, I think it's right up your alley, which I know you've had that style before, a rice lager. I believe though, you and Todd have both told me, especially in a summertime brewing, it would be better if I had just done a cream ale because of fermentation temps and keeping it like I could have gotten a crispy ale that way and probably less stressed than whatever I'm about to do with this. Because I am going to.
I didn't tell you that.
Okay, I could have. Okay.
Yeah, no, try it. I bet you're pressure fermenting, so you should be fine.
And that's what I was thinking too. I know you do lagers, you do them at room temp, right? I'm not having to. Okay. Because Imperial had the yeast is arriving today. Actually, if it hasn't already gotten there.
Gosh, I hope it's not outside in that orange.
They told me it wouldn't be. I haven't talked to Tammy, so hopefully it has arrived and it's not out there. But they have a new strain that they launched recently called Kenpai, specifically for Japanese lagers. When I saw that on their website, I was like, it's meant to be. It's meant to be. I got to try this Asahi. So came up with it. And if it goes well, and I'll take a poll during Brew Day Live, because as much as I was talking about it on my cruise and putting it in my Instagram stories, people in our community were like, y'all have never done a rice lager for the Chub Club. You should try that, Joshua. So I wanted to brew it before pushing it on everybody, because if it turns out terrible, no, we'll do something else. We'll do a German pills or something like that. But anyways, patreon.com/homebrew happy hour to get the Comanche Moon. And like I said, Brew Day Live, a whole different beer, but still be fun. June 27th, 2025 at 10 a.m. Central. The only other stuff I had written on here for the small talk part was cruise ship recap. Cruises are fun. That's the recap. The beer selection. If you like hops, then they had good craft beer. If you don't like hops like me, you drink Asahi Super Dry or gin and sodas. That was my cruise ship recap. The other thing I have written on here is Todd is dating too skinny. I don't remember why I wrote that, but Todd, look at Mr. Burns here. If you're watching at YouTube, how many pounds have you lost now in like 2 months? It's been like 40 pounds, right?
No, not that much. 30, but probably. Yeah, 35. Yeah.
Wow, that's considerable.
That's considerable. He took me on a hike, and I thought, this old fat man can't wear me down. It was miserable. Now I know why you're losing the weight. We hiked, like 4 miles around the property?
4 1/4. Yeah.
4 1/4. And I think I told you yesterday, I was sore. I woke up very sore. He's been doing that every day. No wonder the weight's flying off. And then I did also want to talk about, we've done a soft launch for a new thing that we're doing through Keg Connection LLC for our commercial draft installation and consultation services on Tap USA. I hope you don't mind me mentioning it, boss, that we've done a soft launch. The site's not done. More stuff's coming, but the foundation is there. And I'm excited because you're just landing more and more commercial installation gigs. I don't know if you want to elaborate on that, what the mission or vision of On Tap is going to be.
Yeah, it's we're doing installations here locally, and then we're also, when we get interest and it's outside of our area, we're trying to work with installers that are also using C.M. Becker faucets and regulators and that sort of thing, and send some business their way as well. So.
Yeah, it's more. You're right. It's more than just an installation company. It's more of a network as well, because you guys have a lot of years of experience with draft. We do. Sorry, I won't exclude myself. Sometimes I get accused of excluding myself. Collectively, we do. And the more installs I've been attending with y'all, the more I'm like, oh my God. I thought one of the first ones y'all ever did a while ago, it was professional and done well, but I was like, y'all had more stress, I feel like, than this last one I went to. Y'all were just like, you know what
exactly.
A well-oiled machine. And people can go to cmbecker.com, customer showcase, and see a lot of those videos already. And then also on ontapusa.com, I'm adding those. So wanted to just briefly mention that, if especially you're in the tri-state area, I don't know what you call it, Dallas, Austin, sort of Houston, San Antonio, Central Texas, that greater Central Texas, and you're looking for, if you're a bar or restaurant or whatever being built, is ideal to get a consultation and a system installed. But even if you're existing and you're trying to upgrade your faucets, or maybe you're trying to flash up your setup, whatever, on Tap USA, give us a holler. We'd love to help you. Okay, that is all the small talk I have, and I have an email that was sent to me. So with all that being said,
it's time for listener feedback.
I did get listener feedback very recently from a new listener. His name's TJ, and he wrote, Josh and company, I really love the podcast. I am one of the ones who didn't find you until late 2024, but I catch your podcast every week on YouTube, and I'm slowly catching up on your archived episodes not available on YouTube. You guys do a tremendous job making information easy to understand for simpletons like myself. I left a 5-star review for you on Spotify, plus I watch while I brew. Thanks for the encouragement every week. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much, TJ, for the encouragement on your end. But I wanted to say, it's not that we had archived episodes. We didn't go video, I think, until episode 50. And that was just as a way to get on different platforms. And really, too, episodes... James, when did you join? Like episode 20-something, right? Is when you became full-time?
Jeez. I know. I want to say my first one was Clay and I, and it was 12 and 13, wasn't it?
Right. That was early. I mean, when you became a staple on the show, we may have done 20 episodes, maybe 25.
Yeah. There was a little, there was a few months there where I don't think you were doing any at all.
Yeah. Oh, more than a few.
You kicked it back in.
Because of you. That's what I was going to say. People, for better or for worse. So if you're leaving us a 1-star review on iTunes or Apple Podcasts or Spotify, it's James's fault. If you're leaving us a 5-star review, it's James's fault. So yeah, he's the reason we rebooted the show and kept it going. And now 435 episodes later. But TJ, people like you, yeah. And TJ just joined the Chub Club at a recipe receiving tier, so I wanted to give him a shout out too. I love guys that have been maybe just brewing not too long or just found us, enjoy the community aspect of it, join the Trub Club. It makes it more enjoyable to do and literally makes it possible for us to do what we do. So thank you so much, TJ and company, for the feedback. And if, guys, you want to get a gift card to Keg Connection, leave your feedback on our hotline, 325-305-6107, and I'll send it to your way. I got 4 great questions for this week's episode. And our first one is
4 questions. All right.
Because I was afraid that we were going to go through some of them quick. So for our first question in the lineup today, it was a text message from our buddy Greg. I'm building a Keezer, likely going to use V10 flow controls. I remember Todd saying that line length isn't something to worry about, but what about the diameter? I have a huge roll of 1/4-inch hose that was given to me by a buddy who quit brewing. Todd, he name dropped you. I'm going to throw this one to you first. Talk about length and girth or diameter of tubing, and if it matters, the relevancy when people are going to be using true flow control faucets like a V10.
No, yeah. If he's going to use 1/4-inch, he can pretty much use whatever length he wants, and it doesn't matter at all. So,
and why is that?
Because you're not restricting with the line, you're restricting with the faucet. So you're changing the restriction as you go. And 1/4-inch is going to give him. I'm assuming he said BevFlex 1/4-inch ID. So yeah, I mean it has some resistance, but not very much. So just to put it in perspective, right? You use about 5 feet of 3/16 ID to restrict. So with 1/4-inch, I think you would use 15 to 18 for the same restriction. So, as long as he's not going super long, which most people don't, if he wants to use a foot, that'll work great. If he wants to use 6 feet, that'll work great.
Is it true that, I mean, I know you just said if he wants to use a foot or 6 foot, is there an ideal length depending on the tubing you're using, or again, does it really not matter because he's restricting there on board in the shank?
Right.
Yes. So the answer was yes.
The answer is no, it doesn't matter.
I mean, no, pardon me. That's
no.
What, no, it doesn't matter. Do you, so I use 5/16 because I think that's just what I took home and that's what the size of the barb is. Is that still a true statement regardless of the tubing they're using because the
only tubing you don't really want to use is 3/16 because it's too much restriction. So anything a 1/4-inch or 5/16, either one is fine.
Oh, so okay, then let me throw this at you as you say that. People who don't want to change up their taps or they don't have the room for those flow control shanks and they want to do an inline flow control, can they use the 3/16 on their line, which is pretty common, go to the inline and then use the 5/16 or whatever to the faucet? Is that an okay setup?
I would rather do it I think most people are going to do it the opposite way because they've already got line going up into the tower to their faucet and they don't want to have to remove that. And that would work fine because it's coming in with much less restriction. So, if you used a foot of 3/16 after that flow control, it would be fine.
Good point. That is how I should have worded it. Should they? So, I think James has said this before. James confirmed. If you're using an inline flow control, you want it to be as close to the tap as possible, to the faucet. Is that correct? Or as close to the keg as possible? I forget which side.
It's the faucet.
Yeah. And it's because of what Todd's saying, so they don't have to change out that side of the line. So on the other side is when you would use the larger diameter tubing all the way to the inline flow control. And then, okay. I was only saying that because I actually, when I visited some of the local breweries in my area and was showing them some of the faucets, one of the concerns was we have the system already. We have all this stuff set up. I don't want to really change out the actual faucets, but inline was more appealing to them. And I know CM Becker, y'all saw a lot of inline for various setups. In fact, I was surprised 2 of the 3 that I visited this year, they were using our inline flow controls without ever talking to me. I didn't sell them on their canning lines. Have y'all seen that before?
Oh yeah, it's used a lot for that.
A lot. I had no idea. It was almost like I think it was sold that way to them. But I was just I'm always impressed when I'm in any scenario and I see CM Becker stuff without, without having to have pushed it. My brother-in-law does custodial and beverage stuff for the university here, and their connectors for the bibs are all CM Becker. All the
Wow.
Good.
yeah, isn't that cool? Yeah, I should next time. I say next time visit him. It's not like I avoid visiting him, but if I ever go in that cooler with him again, I'll take a picture for y'all, because I saw him and I was like, that looks just like our bib connectors. But
And it'll have our logo on this embossed on the gray part of the BIB.
and that's the only way I knew it was ours, because I assume that China's flooded the market with knockoffs of those. I mean, get the mold remake. You don't know?
They did.
Yeah, not a lot. I mean, you mainly they have the thing about those is they have to be approved by Coke. So it's not something that where somebody's going to make a really cheap one and then flood the market, because they have to get it approved. So
I didn't know. Okay, working with Coke, they actually they're not. I mean, they're going through an approval process first before they implement stuff.
because they're very, very strict about the materials they use and all of those types of things.
Interesting. I also, though, assumed it would CM Becker, because those bib connectors have been in the industry for 45 years. I'm making up a number, but they've been around since bag-in-a-box was a thing, right?
Yes, since it started.
Yeah, been around forever. But anyways, wrapping
that
up.
came out in the 80s, the mid 80s is where everybody in North America started transitioning from premix to bag in the box.
No, it's been that long?
No.
That's wild. But before that, it was the premix and it was the kegs that we're using as homebrewers, right?
No, they did both premix and post mix with kegs, but yeah.
I just mean when bag in a box came and replaced the keg setup, and I'm assuming that was for shelf space, right? You can fit a lot more boxes on a shelf. Anyway, I'm sorry, I digressed that way down. But wrapping up Greg's question, and this will be one that I'm sure gets comments below, but you can't argue with Todd. He's the draft man. It does not matter length and the diameter, as long as you're above 3/16 or bigger than 3/16. You give the thumbs up for using it on it if you're using flow control faucets.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Greg, you got the approval from Todd. Moving on, we do have a second question. And a reminder, guys, if you want to get that gift card to KegConnection.com, I highly implore you to call it into 325-305-6107. Leave a voicemail after the beep, or after I talk for 30 seconds or something. You'll hear my voice. I apologize. Leave it after that. Get yourself a gift card to KegConnection.com. Our second question is another text message. Our buddy Vincent, he wrote, "Greetings, gentlemen. I have a question for you about sparge water and calculating how much I'm going to need. Before you answer that, maybe you can help me understand why I need to sparge at all. Why can't I put the full amount of water into the mash? Thank you for your help. Vince, James, I'm going to throw this to you. The three of us all brew in a method where we do sparge. I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole of brewing a bag and the squeezers and not squeezers. I'll leave that to the comment section. But
yeah, that would take up the rest of the show.
It would take up the rest of the show. So why do we sparge as brewers? What's the point of it? And how do you calculate it? I know how I do, but how do you calculate it?
I don't. I mean, I just, you can do it. Typically, there's two types of sparges. There's batch sparge, and then there's fly sparge. We fly sparge with our 3-vessel Herm system. I like it because technically, if you wanted to go by the numbers, you would want to sparge until you hit about 1010 gravity, and then you shut that off, because that's anything below that, you're just pulling in tannins and stuff that you don't want into your boil kettle. But the main reason why you wouldn't want to just, let's say, calculate what our sparge water amount would be along with our water to grain ratio, put it all in one mash tun, and then just run it out into the boil pot. The problem with that is it's not efficient. And what do I mean by that? Your whole goal is to extract as much sugar from that starch kernel as you can, and because that converts into alcohol. It helps keep prices down on your grain bill. It makes your gravity higher, which, given some people like big beers, so more alcohol, more fun. You want to rinse those sugars off the grain. And the only way you can do that is to sparge. So you have to heat up your sparge water, and then you can do, in a batch sparge, You drain the initial wort out. You do a Vorloff, so you just put it back in over until it runs clear. Put that in the boil kettle. In the meantime, on your oven, you're heating up however many gallons you need at 170 degrees, and then you pour that into the mash, stir it up real good, close it up, let it set for 10 minutes, and then that actually is kind of a rinse. But with a fly sparge, you're continually rinsing the sugars off the grain bed, and that bumps the efficiency up. And anybody that's listened to Todd knows he's the king of efficiency because we do a fly sparge. And my efficiency here is probably not much different because they're the same system. So it's very important. If you want to spend a lot of money on malt and you have a problem hitting your gravity and you're not sparging, that's the reason why.
Todd, I just got your email. He's not even listening to you, James. I like that answer. He sent me an email that said, "Where is our calculator?" Because we had a.
So I was like, "Oh, we should mention our calculator." But I always like to check Josh's work before I recommend something. Well, we have a page for the calculator, but there is no calculator. Josh.
We use WordPress. With no surprise to anybody who does web development and sees our like 99% of the internet. Our site had an update not that long ago. I did not double check that. Yeah, I got to get with Jarek and to get the calculators up because it was custom coding. And by custom coding, I mean when Todd had bought Homebrew Supply, I just stole the stuff off of that site because you owned it at the time. It's yours. It was your intellectual property or something or another. Right, but I was going to take even the shorter answer for James, James didn't talk about how he calculates it. I'm assuming you're using Brewer's Friend. I'm using software to calculate. I've literally never even looked up a formula for trying to calculate the difference between strike water and sparge water. I've never even bothered. I just let the software do it for me. It's way easier. It's 2025. It's the best time ever to be a home brewer. Why have a pencil, paper, and a calculator? Let the software do it. When I've never tried batch sparging because I also fly sparge, and to reinforce what you were saying about efficiency, Grainfather it uses their baseline efficiency is 80%, and I've not done it myself, but a lot of people who use a G40 have told me the way that my pop and I brew, we might be even pushing 82, 83 that's good. Because
they've got to be conservative when they publish numbers. So.
Yeah, and what is a baseline when you were making recipes for Keg Connection when we used to be in the recipe game? Was it 70 is the baseline?
65 to 70 is generally what I was expecting. A lot of people don't have the ability to really effectively rinse the sugars off the grain bed. And so you don't get any bad calls from angry people about not hitting gravity if you're shooting for 65, 70.
Yeah.
That's kind of where it was a safe place to be at.
And a lot of, like you said, a lot of people also, if they're like doing a cooler brew or something, they may get 75, but you're just being safe on that. Todd, I know the results speak for themselves of the efficiency, but have you actually calculated the highest efficiency you've ever gotten on a brew day?
Yeah, I always calculate.
What was it? What's the highest you've ever gotten?
Like 85.
Pretty good.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah.
And the secret to that, do you think the sparge technique you do is the biggest driver of that?
Yeah, I mean, you were asked. They were asked. There's the strike water is important. You kind of want to know what you want to have a strike water amount typically. But as far as sparge water, I completely, like James, fill up my vessel with water. So I'm not, I'm not trying to guess a certain amount, because anything left over I use for cleaning and flushing and all kinds of other stuff. So, yeah.
What is y'all's hot liquor tank? Or the 20-gallon kettles?
Yeah, all three of them.
All three are. Yeah, and the brown
to the top.
Yeah. Todd goes to the top. Like if there's space.
Yeah, I know too. And Todd, you probably agree with me. I have one way that I brew, and when it comes to sparge water, I adapted what Todd does and pulled a good bit of the wort out of the mash tun. While I'm heating up my sparge water, I'll try to shoot for because there's a temperature difference. So I'll typically go for like 175 degrees, because once you fill it back up into the mash tun, it's going to cool back down because there's a temperature difference. And it seems to work fine. I don't remember ever getting any tannins into the boil kettle, and it works great, and the efficiency is good. And I think one of the reasons why the Brautag's so good with efficiency is, keep in mind, we've got the grain bed 2 full inches completely above the bottom of the kettle, the mash tun, the whole area. It's not just picking up from the center. That whole area is getting flush. So that means all the malt is getting rinsed thoroughly and equally from the top to the bottom, and it's falling out and coming out the spigot at the bottom. So I think that makes a big difference. It took us a while to figure out how to do that without compressing the false bottom.
Yeah.
But we put a ring in it, and we put some extra supports, and it will now, because what it was doing is it was kind of like a hydraulic piston. It was literally crushing the false bottom supports. So we had to kind of back up and think, how can we support that much weight? As you've got water rushing on it, you've got a pump sucking it out the bottom, and you've got water coming in the top. So that pressure difference was literally crushing.
Like a vacuum. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you also
the only time
hurdle in the Brautag.
The only time I ever remember getting a stuck sparge, I was like, what is going on here? I've never had this problem before. And then I realized the false bottom was sitting right over here. Not in the,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I've done that too.
Oh, that's
I had to take
not flowing, and it's flowing like crap.
So I was brewing with Eric when I did that, and I had to take all the grain out, put it in different buckets, clean it out, put the false bottom in, put it all back together, and then I completely started everything, the sparge and all that. That was at ESB I brewed. It was fantastic.
Oh, the best.
So,
you can't replicate it. You can't even replicate.
So, I cannot replicate that.
Well, you could. You would just need to remember to not put the false bottom in.
Yeah, right.
That's right. Yeah.
You, James, I know you don't really mash.
Well, that does show you though that people are like, "Oh my God, I ruined my brew." A lot of times, you can make huge mistakes like that.
Oh yeah,
you're
for
fine.
sure. Now, James, I know you don't mash out anymore. Do you think that contributes though to efficiency? Because I frequently on the G40, it'll see, like, I already put in the stuff for the rice lager, and it's like for this style, we're gonna do you're gonna do the mash at 149, and then we're gonna mash out for 10 minutes at 167. And I was like, I'll leave it that way. That sounds about right. Is that for efficiency, or is that for something else?
Well, that's for what you're trying to achieve in the profile and the recipe. So a mash out basically is just an off switch for starch conversion. One of the biggest reasons why I quit doing a mash out is, y'all know, I only brew pills, and I'm only in the beta. So what was happening, and it could have been my imagination, but there's a lag time from where I'm at in the beta to getting into the mash out, and you're creating some longer sugar chains in that higher temperature. So it was kind of affecting. I want a crispy, dry pills, and if you do a mash out, you have that range where you're in the alpha range until it hits 170 or 169 is the way I do the mash out. And I just cut it out, and it seemed to help the flavor profile.
Maybe I'll cut it out too, because I do. One of the things I liked about the Asahi is just how crisp it is. I mean, it is. They call it super dry for a reason. Maybe I'll cut that.
Another thing to think about too, and Todd was the one that led me onto that. I always wondered why his beers were going down into the 1006, 1008, and I couldn't get anything better than 1012. Well, it's because I was doing the mash out. I was creating some longer sugar chains that most of that's not fermentable. So I stopped doing that, and I started hitting those same gravity readings on final.
Yeah.
So there's people that will argue with me, and, you've got to do that. With the kind of beers I'm brewing, it's not needed.
I might kill it too then, just because, you're right. I would rather this be finishing at 10.7 than 10.11 or something like that. No, for sure. especially on the first go around. And really too, not faulting the G40. This is something I'm complimenting it, but it sees a style. It may not see that. It may just see you're doing a lager. So you should mash out, as you know what I mean, like a general rule of thumb, as opposed to like, oh, that specific kind of lager maybe doesn't need that, depending on what you're going for or whatever. It holds my hand like I'm an idiot, which is good and bad, but I am an idiot, so it knows what to do. Looking over to wrap up his question, we sparge for conversion vents, calculating, we use software, brewer's friend, and then why sparge at all again because of that. I think that's it. Yeah. Now this is where I invite people into the comment section, because an uncomfortable amount of our audience that I engage with or engages with us do brew in a bag and they don't sparge and they just squeeze. Y'all leave that in the comment section below or email for feedback or whatever. Because like James said, that could be a whole episode in itself, probably. But if you do have feedback and you are watching, leave it in the comments if you're watching at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour. Or if it's good enough to be played on air, leave a voicemail to 325-305-6107 and get yourself a gift card to kegconnection.com. Moving on to our third question of this week's show. It's another text. It's our buddy Michael P. And he wrote, "Help!" in big exclamation points. "I have a 3-faucet tower Comos kegerator. One of my taps started foaming real bad. I thought I might have overcarbonated, so I swapped the disconnect over to a different beer and still tons of foam. I only have 1 PSI set for all 3 lines. What do you think could be going on?" Todd, you have a video that's one of our most popular videos about dealing with foam, and the number one's always been temperature of the beer or whatever. What I think is going on, and then I want you to elaborate on it. Could it be his faucet has some particulates in it that are blocking the smooth flow of the liquid, and that's kind of agitating it into foam, or do you think it's something else going on?
Well, the 1 PSI thing throws me off so much. I don't even know how to answer.
He has a set PSI for all lines. So he didn't say what it is, but it's like 10. It's like
you said 1. You literally said 1 PSI though.
It says 1 PSI.
No, I know, but the way I interpret that is he has the same PSI for all 3 lines. Not that it's 1.
He has the same PSI.
That's the way
I read it wrong.
No. No, it literally is the number 1. He texted it, but text is so short form. The way I took it initially, I could be wrong. The way I took it was he has 10 PSI for all 3 lines or whatever it is. He has the same
1 set PSI for all 3 lines.
Correct. That's how I took it. Michael, I can follow up because he texted me, but I believe that's what he meant. So with that knowledge, what do you think's going on?
I mean, it's so hard to answer that question. I mean, I would go through everything with him. So, if his temperature's good, if everything's good, could he have an obstruction? Yeah, possibly. I mean, so he's taking he's got 1 tap, and that tap is always foaming, and none of the other ones foam, and it doesn't matter what beer he has on it.
That's what he's saying.
Well, it's something wrong with the line. I mean, either maybe the line is for some reason, the way it's positioned, maybe it's getting warmer than the other lines. Like maybe it's up against the tower and it's getting a different temperature than the other lines. He's got some sort of an obstruction. I don't know. That's not within the normal way that things would work. I mean, and I've also I don't know. It's hard to say if he's truly if it always foams no matter what beer he puts on there. It's got to be, he's got to have something wrong with the, I would check or replace everything going from the beer to the tap.
That was, like I said, that was my first thought. But now that you're saying that, again, one of the breweries I visited that's right around the corner, they had 5 towers or whatever, but the one that's the closest and gets direct sunlight from the natural whatever is foaming because it is that big, like temperature does make that big of a difference. And you're right. I'm not saying like, is the sun shining on Michael's 1 faucet as much as it could be that line inside the tower, right?
Well, so if it was a long draw system and it had a bundle, and in that bundle there were glycol lines cooling them, and you got only one that always foams, I would say it's not touching a glycol line. Right,
Yeah.
James? I mean,
Yeah. Yeah. You get a hot spot.
so that's the only reason I bring that up is maybe it's just up again, or there might be insulation in there. There's a crack in the insulation, and it's on the other side. I don't know. It's hard to say.
It could be an obstruction inside the line, inside the disconnect. And
Yeah.
we've seen that
Oh,
before. Anytime you pinch and the beer's flowing through a obstruction or a pinch, it's going to do that. I mean, it's going to cause that. So,
So like,
it could be sucking air somewhere around there and causing that. I mean, we had one of our installers. He was chasing a foaming tap, and it come to be the coupler, and he changed the coupler out, and it was working fine. So Todd's right. It's hard to. You just have to start fresh, make sure everything's nice and clean, open, and flowing good.
And you know what? Like you just said too, if he used the exact same disconnect and the same faucet, he didn't eliminate any factors except for the keg. So he knows it's not the keg's fault or the beer's fault that being overcarbonated. That's actually, in my case, in my opinion, that's best case scenario, because you can disassemble the faucet and clean it out real well, give it a good soak and brew clean or whatever, totally disassemble it. And then the disconnect too, like you said, James, they're very easy if they're CM Becker.
Yeah, I mean, take the disconnect off another line, put it on. It's still doing it. It's not the disconnect. I mean, that's you just want to do the same thing with a faucet. If it's not doing it, it's not the faucet. So, I mean, you don't have a lot to check. I mean, there's a disconnect, there's a line, and then there's a faucet. I mean, a shank and then a faucet. There's 4 components.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, you can even take the tail pieces off it too, and just unscrew them and switch them around, and see if it's isolated a faucet or if it still moves over to the other one.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. No, and like I said, to me, and if something like this is happening, that's easy troubleshooting for someone like me, like that's straightforward. And I don't know if I'm assuming, I think the Comos that we've ever dealt with come with a fan, right? Or they come with that line thing to try to get equal distribution up in the tower.
Yeah, I've only seen one. So I think Comos was here. They opened an office. They were pretty strong. Had a good sales guy that I knew, and then they just couldn't really get into the market. So I think they exited the market.
Oh, I see. I thought More Beer bought them.
Comos. I'm thinking of. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Comos
isn't Comos More Beer?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I'm thinking of the other one. Talos. This is
Oh.
Comos,
Yeah.
not Talos.
Yes. Yeah. Talos.
Yeah, Comos is More Beer. They have great stuff. We've never had any problems with any of their.
Well, that's what I mean. I thought, yeah, the installation we do for that Nitro Fusion, like down at the coffee shop I always go to, that's a Comos. And I think I go there so much, I'm just gonna walk around the corner and open it up and not tell them why. I think it comes, I mean, I think it does equally distribute cold air as best as a kegerator can do with the fan setup. But I'm on y'all's side in regards to, it's like James said, it'd be easy, even if you don't want to disassemble the disconnect, put a different one on that line, and then if it's not foaming, boom, it's not the faucet. You've troubleshooted that. Take apart that disconnect and give it a thorough cleaning. I mean, because like you're saying,
they all have fans. I just looked.
They do.
I mean, every one I'm looking at has a fan.
I thought it did. Yeah. But like James was saying, it doesn't take a big particulate to cause disruption in the flow. Like it's not necessarily.
You could have a lot of hop residue and particulates kind of packed into a lot of times they'll pack around the spring inside we have what's called a stem. That's the little internal valve. You got the lid, spring, and stem. They're all connected together. Well, if you do a lot of dry hopping or if you have a lot of hop residue in your keg, it can collect in there and it can cause kind of an obstruction and reduce flow. So it's just squeezing the beer through that, and it could cause it to foam.
I've told this story a million times, so I won't go long, but it reminds me every time of the one time Joe told me to just dry hop straight into the keg, and my dad and I were picking hops out of our teeth, man. And the disconnect got clogged. I think my pop had to take it apart a few times during that 5 gallons as we drank it, because again, it doesn't take a lot of particulates to clog something up. But I was more upset that I was picking my teeth all the time because it was, I'll never do that again. I'll never drop hops into a keg outside of a bag. Sterilize a bag. Maybe I'll do that. Even then, no. I'm going to start secondarying if I ever have something to dry hop. But anyways, Michael, I think that about covers it. I invite you, if you're watching at youtube.com/homebrew happy hour, to leave your comments below. Let us know what you think could be going on with Michael. Or again, another reminder, get yourself a gift card by calling in your feedback or preferably a question to 325-305-6107. We've got one final question. It's actually an email. It's been sitting in my inbox for a while. Our buddy Jonathan wrote, "Hey there, love the podcast and everything you all do for the homebrew community. I've been bottling for a while now, but I'm thinking about switching to kegging. Besides the obvious convenience, what are some of the pros and cons I should consider before making the investment? Also, is there a must-have piece of gear for first-time kegging?" This question was only a few months old. But our first episode, Todd, we ever did, I believe this was like the exact question. If you remember, we were advertising through Keg Connection flyers as we were sending out orders. Oh, send in questions if you have this or that. And I do think I'd have to go back to episode 1.
Really?
That the first question was basically, I'm considering switching. And we have nailed the head we have hammered the nail on this topic a gazillion times in 430 some odd episodes. But I took it because it made me reminisce of the good times. I wanted to throw it to you first. There is no cons to kegging. There's only pros. What do you think?
You said to you, do you mean me or James?
Yeah, you, Todd. Sorry, you Kegman.
Oh, sorry.
Kegman.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so biased. It's so hard for me to. I mean, of course, I love kegging. That's what I've been doing it.
Keg Connection, Todd.
That's how I got into this business. I mean, I was brewing beer. My wife bought me a kegerator for Christmas, and I started kegging, and that was 19 years ago. 19 years ago. And I've bottled a couple times since then. The only reason I've ever bottled since then is because we were trying to do a video to show people how to bottle.
That was it. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things. I mean, one is I think that you're just able to control things a lot better. You're putting all the beer in one keg. You can purge the keg really well. I mean, there's that to me is a huge advantage. The fact that you're not having to wash all the bottles is a huge advantage. And I'm sure I've told this same story on episode 1, but I'll never forget, 16-year-old Todd, that we went to some bar in downtown Austin and raided their trash can and got a bunch of beer bottles out of there. And then we washed them all, and they had a bunch of cigarettes and dip spit. And, they were disgusting. But we cleaned the crap out of them, and we washed them, and we put our beer in there. And that was my first bottling experience. So my very first bottling experience was terrible.
You didn't like that cigarette pills, huh?
Yeah.
Actually, you weren't doing a lager back then. I mean, you didn't have the ways. It was an ale, almost undoubtedly.
It was an ale, and we bought a can and had dry yeast. Of course, that's what everybody did then. So pretty much. So yeah, I mean, it's, to me, kegging is it just makes life so much easier.
And James, sorry, go ahead. Sorry, I interrupted you.
I'm done.
I was going to say, James, you can help me try to figure this out, because I can't think of anything for his last part. Is there a must-have piece of gear? Kegging, the only piece of gear you have to have is a keg. But I guess I would say best practices, you would probably agree, closed transfer is king.
Yeah, if you can do it. Not everybody has the opportunity, but if you can go, just do a deep dive on Google about closed transfer, and that's going to make a big difference. You don't want oxidized beer. Trust me, cardboard beer is just not good. And that's one of my biggest. I remember when I first doing an extract, I'd get a little splashy when I was transferring into the keg, and I just thought that's how homebrew beer tastes, and it wasn't until
Absolutely. I mean, I literally used to think homebrew beer's great, except for that weird taste.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Yeah. So you can get ahead of the curve if you can do a closed transfer. I think Spike Brewing sells a closed transfer kit. They use our disconnects, and it makes it real easy. Just a pail of water and for the gas side, and I always transfer on the liquid side because it fills it from the bottom to the top. Purge it with CO2. It's not as portable as bottling, but then again, who wants to freaking bottle?
Ugh.
Clay made me bottle one time, and I said, okay, I will bottle this one time. And I never bottled ever again.
Yeah,
So,
no.
That's fun.
Yeah, no, thank you. Talking about splashy beer, my poor father, his first experience with ESB was a batch that I splashed it while kegging, and it had, so he went until we'd had that last batch from last year or earlier this year. He went thinking ESB was a poor style because of my transfer methods, and I didn't know that. I didn't know that till he drank it, and he was like, "This isn't that bad. I thought I hated this style." I go, "No, you hated what I did to it the first time and the only time we brewed it." And because I was so stupid. I mean, I don't got to tell you that, Todd, or people watching. I was so busy with my like transferring here and like, oh, gotta get it for the Instagram, that I then like 5 minutes into it, I look, I'm like, oh no, it's I was like, it'll be fine. It'll be fine.
I'll never forget when YouTube just came out. And I was doing watching brewing videos, and I'll never forget it. There was this guy, and he was showing you how to transfer into from your fermentation vessel into a keg. He was drunk off his butt. A couple of times, he was literally holding it up. See, yeah, it makes a siphon, and he dropped it in the floor. He picked it up, put it back in the keg. It's got alcohol in it. It'll be all right. And I kept thinking, I can't believe how bad that beer is going to taste.
But how entertaining. I bet that was.
Oh, it was entertaining because he was 3 sheets to the wind for sure.
Do you relax and have a homebrew, but don't have 10?
Yeah. Somebody who's watching or listening is going to have to send me the clip, because I know I'm not the only one who remembers this. I think, James, you and I laughed about it, but it could have been 10 years ago. The guy, it was a craft brewery, but probably a nano brewery, because he was still using homebrew kegs for like his pilot batches. The guy that was holding the filter what do you call it when you're the things, not sifters, I guess it's sifter, and he had strainer. Thank you. Has the strainer over the opening of the keg here, and pouring through it into it. And it's a commercial brewer or an owner of a commercial brewery, whether it's a nano brewery or whatever. But I have to look that up after this and try to put it in the show notes, because I remember watching that and going, that gives hopes for guys like me. I thought I had set the bar low. It can go lower. People can make mistakes. He was dogged on in the comments, like, oh yeah, you want that? Yeah, I guess you do want oxygen for your hazy, but not like that. But anyways, Jonathan, I do think we about covered it. The pros of kegging, it's the best decision you'll ever make as a home brewer. I can guarantee you that. The only con I can think of is unless you share growlers, you're going to want a bottle if you're trying to share like as a present or something, in which case I'd say the must-have piece of gear would be a counter pressure bottle filler from kegconnection.com, or get the Blickman beer gun, whatever you prefer. But the counter pressure bottle filler is truly counter pressure, where the beer gun, I didn't know until many years of using it, and it's worked fine for me, but it's not actually counter pressure. But anyways, Jonathan, thank you for submitting that. Guys, one final reminder, get yourself a gift card to kegconnection.com. When you call in a question or feedback, but preferably a question, at 325-305-6107. That's all I've got for this week, my friends. Again, I appreciate y'all's time. I'm going to get this quickly processed and published because we're pushing midday, but I appreciate y'all's time. And Todd, you're coming up here next week, so I got to clean my office too. I'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week.
All right.
Take care.
And
Bye-bye.
that will do it for this episode of the Homebrew Happy Hour. If you have a question you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, you could go to homebrewhappyhour.com. You could email joshua@homebrewhappyhour.com. But even better, have I mentioned calling it in to 325-305-6107? Big breath, because thank you to our show sponsors like Muntins Malt, premium grains for a better brew day. If you aren't already using Muntins, you can give them a try by joining our Trub Club at a recipe receiving level. For the best hops available online, give our friends at hopsdirect.com a visit and pick up what you need for your next brew day. Also, get a pack of Imperial yeast along with premium recipes from us when you join the Trub Club. Go to patreon.com/homebrew happy hour and come brew with us. On behalf of Todd Burns, James Carlson, and the Pearl Media Network, thanks for listening.